Investing predictions for 2025, a short story by Sumner Healey. What's up, guys? I'm being facetious, but I am going to go through my big three predictions for 2025 in the land flipping business. I've even included a little bonus section, so maybe it really is four big predictions for 2025. Now, I'm going to talk about briefly how 2024 was as well. Now, before I do, if you guys want to make 2025 the best year in your land investing business, go to landinvestor.co/apply. On this call, we'll do an audit of your land investing business. We'll break down where you're at. We'll compare it to our strategies, give you the roadmap. And if you want to, you can choose to go hand in hand with us in 2025 for 12 months of group coaching to absolutely blow up your land business. Go inside, if you guys haven't, go inside of our Discord. Go to landinvestor.co/Discord. Go to the recent wins section and go take a look. This year, there's been literally thousands of wins shared in there, hundreds of lives changed. We've had almost 400 people go through our program since we launched September of 2022. Golly, I can't talk. All right, land investing predictions for 2025. 2024, tough year in the land business, okay? If you did well this year, dude, you're a killer, or dudette. Like, that's awesome. And we did well this year. Like, the gains were good, but still a really challenging year. I think there was a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace, a ton of uncertainty in terms of what was going to come next with the new administration, wars in the world, just a lot of folks sitting on the sidelines. Now, ironically, from my purview, less people came into the land business this year than came into the land business in 2023. So a bit of a pullback in terms of new participants from my own data, which I think is pretty damn good, but still a challenging year. A lot of just indecisiveness from sellers and buyers. And so again, if you were able to put together a good year in 2024, you are going to do swimmingly, hopefully in 2025, but at the very least, when times get easier, right? Real estate is a market that ebbs and flows. Now, of course, there is a continuous, slow, steady drip of new land investors coming into the game, but it's much slower than people realize, and that's not really what we felt this year. I think it still matters, and if you compare this to 2018 or 2017, there's way more people in the land business for sure. But the driving force this year wasn't because there's a sea of competition. In fact, in these seasons of ebbing, a lot of the low-hanging fruit in terms of bad participants gets chopped off. And so I know personally many land investors, or know of many land investors, who completely changed their strategy this year because they couldn't make it work. They let go of their teams and became solo operators, or they quit. And so I think there's been people reorientating how they're doing this business, which ultimately is a good thing. But there's still a lot of opportunity here, so do not be fooled. The problem is that most people in 2024 are still using a 2019 method or 2020 method that just doesn't work. And so over time, as more people come into this business and as this industry matures, what happens is the skill bar gets raised, right? There's still deals to be had. There will always be deals to be had. Like, it's just no question. That's the same thing with wholesaling houses, same thing anywhere. There's always going to be deals to be had. But the skill bar to get those deals does get raised. And so we're going through a skill evolution. And right now, what's being taught in the land business is not on par with the skills that are required here today. Okay. So my predictions for 2025, we're going to go touch on the individual points. Now, when I say predictions, I guess what I'm really talking about are the skills, the habits, the things that we have to adapt into our business to do well in 2025. Now, I do believe that this is non-political. I do believe that with the Trump administration, that real estate is going to boom, including in the land business. I might eat crow on that. I don't know all the things about the economy. I'm not hyper political. So maybe I eat crow on that. But we've already seen, once Donald Trump was elected, an uptick in terms of pretty much everything, especially on the dispo side. And that was one of the tough things that I personally ran into this year is dispo times were taking way longer. Our cash conversion cycle is slower. Getting deals sold took longer. You're getting beat up with stupid, silly offers. And so that's one of the areas that we really felt the heat this year. Now, in our own business, we acquired 91 deals this year. just over about $3 million or so in acquisitions. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head of how many we sold, probably about half. We're rolling into 2025 with a big pipeline, some really exciting deals. So, anyways, let's jump into it. I think 2025 is going to be a great year if we can adapt. Okay, the first thing is, I guess, I hope you like my design skills. The more YouTube videos I've made, the more I realized I like making the raw videos. I don't like making the polished ones. It's not my style. I think I can create more value in these videos. So if you're looking for polished videos, this ain't that. If you're looking for polish, go join Leah. That's where the polish is. Unfortunately, YouTube gets the last ounce of my time and effort, but I still try to show up here. But these videos, I feel like I can really drive home a lot of good stuff without wasting time on the fluff. So top of funnel matters more than ever. I would say ask any land investor out there, and they'll say that Leah has mastered the top of funnel. And I would say that's what we do best. That's actually why we built Land Insights, because my whole thesis has been the top of funnel matters more than anyone gives it credit, right? If you talk to most land investors out there or most gurus or coaches, they'll say market selection doesn't matter. They'll say throw a dart at the dartboard, pick any old market. That's never been more wrong, frankly. And that is why so many people are getting hurt in this business and this little season that we're in, because market selection has never mattered more. Okay. There's really two big reasons, maybe three big reasons why market selection matters so much. And I'm going to make a point. If anyone ever tells you that market selection doesn't matter, head for the hills, because that person is a goon, a goober, and probably not even legit land investor. There's far too many people out there that don't land invest but want to coach and teach land investing. Now, I'm not claiming I'm the best land investor. I have many holes in my game. Okay, I look at land investing as a game. I'm a player in the game. My skill sets are decent at shooting threes, but I'm terrible at dunking. Right? Like I've got certain areas that I'm good at. Top of funnel marketing, acquisitions. That's my dojo. If you want to know about the inner workings of curative title, not yet my dojo, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Okay, so three big reasons. Right? The first thing is liquidity. Okay, go look at Texas, for example. Go look at those markets, counties in Texas now compared to 2021. The amount of supply that's sitting on market is disgusting. There's a lot of land investors that haven't caught up to where the actual data is telling us we need to be working, right? They're still saying, oh, I just work in Bastrop County, Texas, or whatever. It's like, dog, Bastrop County, Texas was a good market 3 years ago. Not that good anymore, right? And let the data tell you that. So the point of liquidity is huge. Now, even with me having access to Land Insights and spending a lot of time on this stuff, we still worked in markets that took a while to sell. So liquidity, as it is shown in STRs and all the stuff that we look at inside of Land Insights or manually, is not a guarantee that our deals are going to sell quick. It simply is stacking the deck in our favor. And if I can convert my cash faster, I'm going to be able to beat out the competition in a lot of different spots in this business. Again, it's not the only problem that we have to solve, but it's a big problem. And it makes our lives a whole lot easier when we're not having to waste time managing our dispo listings and trying to spend all this time to get these things to sell and forcing it down people's throat, when I can bring something to market and it moves in 4 days. That's a good thing, right? We just had a deal that sold last night that moved in 4 days after being on market. How do I create those situations, right? There's like no work that goes into me and working with the realtor. I don't have to make any improvements to it. I don't have to go back and get new photos. I don't have to constantly reprice and manage the listing. The work was essentially done for me on the front end by picking a good market. So finding liquidity is huge. Also, when we are in highly liquid markets, we're able to command a higher price as a percentage relative to the retail value. So in this business, we're always passing off typically some kind of discount. Property's worth 100, I've got to move it at 80 in a slow market if I want it to sell in a reasonable time frame, call it 90, 120 days, right? But if I'm in a liquid market, I might be able to command 90,000, 95,000. So as a percentage, I can command closer to that true max retail value. Very rare that we get the full retail value. In some cases, we might, okay? So that's the first big point, finding liquid markets. Most land markets are very, very illiquid. So that's like super obvious to me. For some reason, it's not obvious to others. But do enough deals where you're sitting on market for 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, and you'll know exactly why liquidity is important. So liquidity is the first one. The second one is there's been this really funny, man. It's so funny to me. It cracks me up. There's like three camps, right? There's the sorry, but like the folks that are somewhat ignorant to why liquidity matters in this land business. And there's like throw a dart at a dartboard or just work where I work. I work in Costilla County. Go buy land there. So it's like one side of the spectrum. The people in the middle, and bless their heart, they're trying to do a bit better. They say, you know what? I heard Atlanta's hot, so I'm just going to start working in Atlanta or the tertiary areas of Atlanta because I read somewhere that Atlanta is growing by this much or there's this much job growth. So I'm just going to go work around it, right? Same thing with Gainesville or Columbia, South Carolina. And so they're taking what I call the very obvious liquidity pools. And what I'm about to share with you guys is some serious alpha. So please listen. Everything in this business is a game of arbitrage, okay? It's all arbitrage. It's really just arbitrage of information. We're arbing the information on knowing what a property is worth and someone else might not know what it's worth. We're arbing working in the right markets that have high liquidity, but other people don't know that. And that's the magic. That's the third side of the spectrum, which is where we live inside of Leah. We take non-traditional, non-obvious markets that for whatever reason have a lot of liquidity that no one's looking at. So you've got like, let's take like Gainesville. Okay, probably a pretty obvious area. I don't know anything about Gainesville or Athens. Athens, probably pretty obvious area that Athens and the tertiary area of Athens is going to be strong. But what about this adjacent county up here, which is Anderson County? Right? Kind of like when I look at it, it doesn't look like there's a ton of metropolitan areas or anything major going on from just like a quick snap judgment. But there's a ton of liquidity here. In fact, 350% of the properties turn over every single year. So it's the non-obvious pools of liquidity that don't make sense. And there's hundreds of these across the U.S. on a countywide basis, where really in a lot of cases you're in the bum freak of nowhere, and for whatever reason, land is moving. And so we're arbing information. We're finding honey holes that other people aren't working in, but also have a lot of liquidity. You see, there's a lot of markets out there people aren't working in, but it's for a good reason. I'm trying to combine the two. The other side of this, and this is where it gets really interesting, you'll see here, I've got the zip code layer highlighted here inside of Land Insights. You can find bad markets. Now, Anderson County is not a bad market, but we can find bad markets with good markets within the market. Weird? Yes, but true, okay? So people miss this all the time. Imagine I have a county that just doesn't really check any boxes superficially. Like it's just like, I don't know why it would work here. But I start drilling down on the zip code level like I'm doing here. You can see the heat map show us this is booming, 300% STR for this one zip code. And you study this stuff enough, there's 40,000 plus zip codes in the US, 3,000 plus counties. There are tons of bad counties with good zip codes in them. That's a honey hole, a non-obvious liquidity pool. Or same thing, there's crummy counties with great subdivisions in them that we can go and work in. And so we're looking for non-obvious liquidity pools, and we're arbitraging the information of knowing something that someone else doesn't know. And that's why Land Insights is such a groundbreaking tool. And the funny thing is, Land Insights is so polarizing, right? And I can really tell where someone's at in their land investing journey. On one side of the spectrum, you've got the people that think it's the greatest tool ever invented in the land business. And that's not hyperbole. Like we literally hear that constantly. They're like, I would pay $5,000 a month for this tool. I literally, like, people say that. I'm not just making that up. That's true because they understand the value of what it brings. On the flip side, though, there's folks that's too expensive. I don't need to pay money to pick markets. I just work in Costilla County. Interesting. I know where you're at in your land investing evolution, and I know how you think about the top of the funnel in this business, okay? The third thing on the top of the funnel is we need to understand pricing within a market at an intimate level so we can create accurate offers. Now, I'm assuming you're not using a neutral form of marketing. If you are, that matters a little bit less. But if you are trying to create offers, which I think for new land investors is important, I think for all land investors, it's important, to be totally honest. We've got guys inside of Leah like Rylan who do multiple seven figures a year and still creates 20, 30,000 blind offers a month because it is powerful. It's not necessary as you build a team and can support the inbound lead flow from neutral based forms of marketing. But I love the kind of leads that blind offers bring to us. And as a new land investor, I would rather have quality over quantity. But we need to be able to have really strong insights into pricing within a market and then go and create accurate offers from that, right? So you can see here, I can go see all the pricing information, the Gini score, the low, the high, median pricing to create quick offers. In fact, I can do the same thing if you go inside the data platform of Land Insights. Within a county, I could go see all the sold and active MLS data here as well. So you guys can visualize this really easily. Having that in the top of your funnel to create accurate offers is amazing, right? Let's say most people that are getting started are using blind offers as a hypothetical. The difference of the outcomes in your business, if you have strong pricing at the top of your funnel versus bad pricing, is going to be huge. And so you need to develop the skill of knowing how to price offers at scale, but you also need visibility into that data, right? Um, so these are like three big things that we need to master moving into next year. You can no longer afford to get lucky in this business. That's what a lot of folks were doing. Random markets, hoping and praying that it sold quickly, pricing that was all over the place for an entire county with no logical schematic to it, hoping and praying that they get deals from it. I say this because I used to be that guy, right? And that kind of worked. Okay. Like my success was throttled by where it could have been by being so haphazard with things, but it kind of worked 3 to 4 years ago. Doesn't work anymore. I just don't believe that model works anymore. All right. That's the top of the funnel. Now, there's other things that go into the top of the funnel, like how we're marketing to people, the copy in our marketing, things along those lines, but they matter a whole lot less than what I just showed you here. You guys could have crappy letters with weird copy that isn't that great, that goes and drives home deals for you if you can master those three things I talked about. Now, having good copy and a good design for your letter doesn't cost you anything, so it makes sense to do a good job there. So I definitely recommend it. Same thing too, like if you've got a cold caller that's doing cold calling for you, the difference of having someone that's really good at cold calling versus someone that's not good at cold calling might be a few $100s a month difference, or it might not even cost you any more. You just have to get better at hiring. Same thing with cold texting, same thing with all those channels. Like there is a skill component to the top of our funnel for marketing. And most people suck at it. Like I get to see the back end of a lot of people's cold texting systems, for example, and they're not good. Like we get folks that join Leah, cold texting isn't working. They want to get on the mail Kool-Aid that we teach. They start mailing, they start getting deals. But I look at their cold texting systems and they're horrible. They're horrible. And there's a lot that goes into that with hiring and selecting and training and onboarding that I won't touch on here. But top of funnel matters more than ever. Okay. Number two, acquisition process and skill. I'm actually going to pull up a tab for you guys. So just wait 1 sec. Okay, so we're inside of our CRM. I'm actually going to show you guys a deal that we bought recently, ironically in Bastrop, Texas, which is hilarious. Now, how do we end up working in Bastrop, Texas? Well, because this deal came to us almost 2 years ago. Let's go pull the exact date. So there's two angles to this, right? There's the acquisition process that we have, and then there's the acquisition skill that we have. And that could be for us, that could be for our team. Both really matter. Okay. Now, a lot of folks have no acquisition process. Like when a lead comes in, there's no process of what happens next, or when should I follow up, or what happens after I send the contract, or when do I send the contract, when do I make the offer, how do I make the offer, what happens if they have a spouse that's involved. Like you need a process for all of those things, and the process obviously matters. The quality of that process matters, and then just like the raw skill. So there's like the quantitative of our process, like the qualitative of our skill. Now, the good news is you don't need to be some freaking Jeremy Lee Minor, Sandler selling beast to make acquisitions work in this business. You need to be personable. You need to be able to negotiate. You need to be able to have uncomfortable conversations. And honestly, you need to like talk to people like you're their neighbor, like you're just a Joe Blow, right? Inside of Leah, I always tell our members we need the speed and professionalism of a Fortune 500 company, but we need the familiarity and the comfort and the trust of being a next door neighbor. And so it's like our marketing needs to be at the first tier, and the second tier of being the next door neighbor shows up in our acquisition process. So you just need to be like a human being that's personal, it's real. Yet you can still negotiate, you can still have hard conversations. And that's just the requirement, right? So this is funny because this is a deal we just closed on it December 20th. When this lead came to us, it was January 27th of 2023. So almost exactly 2 years ago. So we'll go through all the touches and I'll ask you, would you have done this? The second thing, though, this is a really good case in point in terms of negotiation, because this seller came to us asking $350,000, and that was the price that they were stuck on. We ended up buying it for, I forget the exact price, 90,000, 92,000, something like that. And it's probably worth over double that. So, it'll be a good deal. We bought this in such a steep discount, even though it's in Bastrop County that I just poo pooed. We're going to be able to pass off a sizable discount to the next person. In fact, we're selling this way beneath the assessed value to get this thing to move quickly. Now, for full disclosure, there's about $10,000 of trash that we have to remove from this property, and there are some title problems that we had to work through. We're going to talk about that in the next point here coming up. So anyways, let's go look at this. So it came in January 27th. I just want to scroll through and just show you guys, look at all the just work. This is just pure raw labor, okay? Most of these are phone calls, just labor. This is just laborious work. Now, most people aren't willing to put in the elbow grease to do this, but they're also not willing or just don't even have the awareness in terms of an acquisition process to know if they should put this much work in. You see, what I always tell my team is that, this just keeps on going, by the way. What I always tell my team is, you on the acquisition side, is you get paid in proportion to your ability to know where to spend your time. Generating leads is not the problem. Knowing which leads are worth this much effort is the problem, right? So do you know where to spend your time? If I gave you 1,000 leads today, would you know where to go and spend your however many hours it's going to take to get the deal done? Would you know where to go spend the 200 plus calls to get this deal done? Because if you go and put this effort in the wrong area, you're SOL, right? So there's a bunch of filters that we think about, or boxes that we check to understand someone's motivation. And it's much deeper than what the seller tells us. You see, a typical land investor would say, this seller wants $350,000, I'm out. We don't look at it like that. There are so many other boxes that have to get ticked that tell us that this person has motivation or that they're qualified, and we should invest our time there. Again, it's part of your acquisition process. The next thing is just straight up the skill set. So again, do you have the skill set to get someone from $350,000 to $90,000 on their offer? Most people probably not, right? And so it's about getting yield from your marketing dollars. The cool thing is the bar is set so low here. Like, I mean that sincerely. People are lazy in this business. They have no acquisition skill, and they most definitely have no acquisition process. In fact, a lot of existing land investors that join Leah, when I ask them, I say, what do you do after you send a contract to a seller? They have no response. Or what do you do for a seller that says, I don't want to sell now, but maybe down the line? What do you do, right? There is so much progress and gains to be had that someone that's playing that kind of game, if you're generating leads in your business, we could probably double your business in 6 months inside of Leah just by focusing on the acquisitions. And that's why inside of Leah, it's really a program to get people to multiple six figures a year. That's our whole ethos, whether you're brand new or you're an existing land investor. It's not the program to go and make $5 million or become a subdividing expert. No, we don't care about that, okay? This is an accelerator to get you to multiple six figures a year and go full-time in your land business. And the way that we do that is by mastering the top of funnel, as I talked about before, and getting really good at acquisitions. And then eventually, towards the end of your 12 months, starting to lay the foundation to build leverage in your business, to build a team, so you're not the one doing everything, okay? Those are big areas, right? If you look at the 11 coaching calls that we have per month inside of Leah, which pans out to 50 plus hours of coaching a month, they're all geared around that. That's our big focus. That's why we have Dennis Yasko as our sales trainer, and we do sales training call. That's why, because it's so high ROI in the beginning of your journey. Now, the one area that we do coach on, which is an intangible, is the motivation side. In fact, today we just had our Leah monthly mindset motivation call with Ryan Callen. We call him Coach because it's totally different than what I'm talking about here, but you also need to have some internal fortitude to stick in this business, because even with the right skills, the right playbook, this business is hard, like any business. And so that's kind of like an intangible small point. This to me is becoming a need to have. Someone that does a good job with this is Ajay. I think he does a good job with the acquisition training, the skill, the process, all that stuff. So this is a big one. Okay. Number 3, real problem solving and non-traditional deals. Now, in full candor, I'm learning this myself. Okay. I'm not even an expert here. And this isn't like a bare minimum requirement to do deals. But if you want to be really successful, this is a requirement for sure. In fact, that deal that we did here had a lot of problems on it. There was title issues, there was inter-family issues, so there was children involved, and there was hospitals, and we had to literally send a notary to a hospital. There was material problems with the property, like insane amounts of trash. There's like bunches of boats and torn down RVs, and just problems on it, right? And so back in the day, you could just go pick up the easiest deals ever. But nowadays, if you want real alpha in this business, like big deals with 6-figure spreads, often they come along with problems. In fact, Rylan Loader, who's one of our coaches inside of Leah, and bar none, one of the most successful flippers in this business in terms of just like pure out, like just like business on flipping. 50% of his deals have title problems, right? And so that non-traditional thinking is important. We just did a deal. We just closed on a deal that took us a year to close on. It was a terrible deal. It ended up not being a good deal. We made some money, but wasn't a good deal in the grand scheme of things. But it's non-traditional in the sense that we found it on the MLS. We had a bird dog bring it to us. We did a note wrap subdivide on it. Okay, that's non-traditional, right? We were able to make a deal that had no spread have some spread. Now, it turned out to have water issues, and there was problems we didn't anticipate in our due diligence. But we were able to take a deal sitting on market and still extract some alpha from it. And had our due diligence process been better, we would have made way more because we would have locked it up at the right price and had more awareness around some of the water issues. There was also a big solar farm built across of it that really hurt the kind of curb appeal to the property. So kind of some user errors there, but that was on us, right? We recently did a crazy 7-deal double close portfolio double close where we double closed some of the first ones, then cash closed on the rest from the proceeds of the double closes and did pass through funding, like non-traditional weird deals. Again, this is not a requirement to go pick up your vanilla flips, but if you want the big, crazy deals, 6-figure, 7-figure deals, which full disclosure, I've never made 7 figures on a deal, but it's very clear to me that the only way to do that is via this. And you can learn a lot from wholesalers. Like that industry is a decade ahead of ours or so in terms of maturity. And those guys and gals, like they're doing a lot of problem solving, looking at deals from very non-traditional methods, and solving problems. We've been kind of spared that in the land business. Now, how can we solve problems? Curative title work, title problems on the property, doing like private detective stuff, hunting down relatives and family members, being a mediator within the family. That's just what we just did on this deal I showed you here previously in Texas. Solving problems physically about the property, doing brush hogging, cutting in roads, footpaths, putting in perk tests, putting in a well, like some improvements where I used to be really gun shy on that. And sometimes improvements are as small as, cutting in a very small footpath or putting a fire pit on a property to have more curb appeal. It's not always big gargantuan stuff. And in some cases, it's marrying these things together. So there's a lot of different playbooks there, but that's where the puck is going, in my opinion. And there's a lot of opportunity here. And again, this is an area that I'm learning. I'm very much a novice here. I'm not afraid to admit my strengths and weaknesses. And this is a weakness of mine. I've played the flip model. I've gotten good at the acquisitions, good at the top of funnel, was taking the easy stuff and avoiding the hard stuff. I've literally avoided every single probate deal that's ever come into our business. I've probably missed out on cumulatively, I don't know, 7 figures and more of potential deals that I've walked away from my ignorance. And so I've paid a big ignorance tax here. All right, next. Bonus, data arbitrage. What do I mean by data arbitrage? Well, like I said in the beginning, everything in this business is some form of arbitrage, right? And so there's so much different arbitrage out there. But one of the arbitrages, for example, could be going after interfamily sales, right? Going after these interfamily transfer properties and having data that other people don't have visibility on. Maybe I just go into markets and I just cherry pick the ones that have been passed down hand to hand within a family because I know more than likely the emotional connection or intrinsic value to that property is probably a lot less if you didn't pay a whole lot for the deal. Right. So looking for weird oddities like that, having visibility to data that other people might not have. Maybe I have visibility to data to go after portfolio packages of deals inside of Land Insights. Maybe I have visibility to go after properties that have the right road frontage characteristics for subdivides, where instead of sending out 10,000 mailers and the hopes to get a subdivide, I'm sending out 50 mailers for properties that have the right specifications, and I'm arbitraging the data on the front end to have a better ROAS to be able to spend more on the right properties. And so I think there's a big opportunity for just like visibility, like just more access to the right kind of data that most people don't have access to. One of the things that we've been using for a while now, which I won't click on because it's in stealth mode, which is coming out in Q1, is this comping tool over here. So we've been using this for the last year. It's a comping tool that's kind of a skunkworks project that we built inside of Land Insights, but the visibility into that data on average is saving each team member about 2 hours to 3 hours per day, depending on their role inside of our land business. So we're able to crank out text offers way faster, offers on the phone way faster. Like we've been able to speed up our process by having visibility to data that other people don't have. We've also been able to create more accurate offers by having visibility to that data, right? Same thing here. Like when I'm looking at building out a mailer, let's say for Keene, this little town in New Hampshire, having visibility to all of this MLS comp data is a huge advantage for the accuracy of my pricing. When we first got started in the land business, we used to do this Google My Map strategy that Rylan coined, where we'd export data from data tree. We'd go overlay the comp data on the MLS on a Google My Maps, mesh those two things together to actually visualize our data versus the MLS comp data. That's here on the click of a button now. And so just visibility to data that other people don't have, that's a huge one. Again, that obviously applies to the market selection stuff that we've talked about here before. There's some really exciting stuff too in terms of, I'll just say it loosely, some motivation characteristics that we're working on right now, that's really exciting inside of Land Insights. And so again, just like visibility to data that folks don't have. In the wholesaling world, one of the things that people have been doing for a long time is list stacking or trying to find niche lists that other people aren't finding. That's some of what we're thinking about. Some of the stuff that we've been doing inside of Land Insights is just, again, that data that other folks don't have. In fact, one of the cool things that we put together is, if you're interested in Land Insights in 2025, we're putting together 1,000+ free leads for anyone that gets on a demo call for Land Insights. So if you guys go over to landinsights.co/apply, go over here. We're doing what's called a free market selection call. So we'll demo the platform in real time, and we'll actually give you 1,000+ free leads on that call. We'll select a market for you on that call. We'll scrub the data, remove all the bad properties for you on that call, and give you that data. So in real time, you'll see the demonstration of Land Insights, no pitches, no hard closes, none of that stuff. And we'll give you 1,000+ free leads for your time with a hand-selected cherry market. Again, if you're new or you're seasoned, 1,000+ points of data in a great market that's scrubbed is worth everyone's time. Pretty much everything that we touched on minus 3 and 2, so 1 and the bonus, fall into the category of Land Insights. And there might even be some stuff here that falls into Land Insights later this year that helps us target deals that have the characteristics for problem solving in non-traditional situations that doesn't exist currently. But it's a huge asset to have in your business. And I really like, one of the things that I've been thinking about is I think that we're in the era, this is a side point, but we're in the era where someone through Land Insights is going to run a solo or a one VA 7-figure land investing business, because no longer do you have to have an army of people to get this work done and to have access to this stuff. And so I think we're going to see that in the next 2 to 3 years, which is pretty exciting. Where to get that done previously, you need 10, 12, 15 team members, mainly VAs. Now that business would be very specialized, but I can imagine a world where someone is just going after subdivides. They're marrying all the crazy motivation filters that we talked about. They're working in the very best markets. They're using road frontage scrubs to find the right properties. They're using the comping tool to underwrite all of their subdivides and value add deals. And they're doing that with one VA. Now, maybe they only do half a dozen deals a year because they don't have like the operational support to do huge quantity of deals. But I think that's going to happen. That's pretty exciting. And I think that we're in a place too in the land business right now where you should really be thinking about How do I stay lean and mean? How do I stay nimble? How do I keep payroll and overhead low? I saw a lot of people get crushed in the last 2 years when there's kind of a pivot in 2022 and the business changed because they had payroll that was too big, teams that were too big, and they just couldn't support that when the business changed. So staying lean and nimble, having leverage through data and tools opposed to building armies of teams to get this work done for you, is where the puck is going. That's where we've gone, right? Recently, we've hired a lot more people, but we previously in the last 2 years, our team size has dwindled and we've just become a lot more effective. Now, one of the bonus points you could talk about is building phenomenal A+ teams. I'll spare you that here. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If it was valuable, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe. Let me know you guys like this video. They're raw, they're uncut, they're rough, but hopefully there's still a lot of value in here. I'm wishing you the best 2025 of your life, both in your land business and outside of it. Take care. Be well. Cheers.